G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, I've got something you guys are going to love. I'm pretty excited about it because, trust me, this thing absolutely rips. Now, what this is, it is a super stable, great little flyer micro FPV racing drone. It's called the ET. This is the ET125, and a little bit of a bonus for you guys as well. It comes in a bunch of different versions and sizes, and we're also going to be flying around the ET100. Now, the big reason that I got these is because, look, I saw Trevor ripping around his. He was flying it around in the pit and it absolutely ripped. Like, he was just lapping me. His thing flew so well, and it was one of the best indoor quads that I'd ever seen flying around. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at the bigger brother, the ET125. We'll stick it on the bench, break it down, and then we'll take it out to Grumpy Trevs and try and fly it around his pit. And I'm going to tell you right now, it had way too much power, so we'll also have a quick squiz, so the smaller version, and then we're going to take this thing outdoors, and I'm going to show you just how smooth and stable this little bad boy can be, and it gets some absolutely insane flight time. So definitely stay tuned to check out that flight footage. And a big bonus, a massive shout out to my Patreon supporters, because, well, you can see I've got two of the ET125s. That's a lot of numbers, but for my Patreon supporters out there, thank you so much. I couldn't share this message about FPV and just getting out there and flying with your friends without your support. You're the backbone of this channel, so to give back to you guys, one of the extra things we'll throw in the prize pool just for the patrons. We've got another one right here to send off for one of you guys. So anyway, hope you guys are ready, because this thing is going to absolutely knock your socks off for how good it is for such a small, little, stable, brushless flyer. Anyway, enough rambling, let's stick it on the bench and get started with the review of the ET125s with the bonus of the 100. Alright, let's do it. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench, the ET125, and there's a bunch of different sizes. We'll link them down below, but let's get started. Let's dive right in, because I'm excited. What this is, overall, this is a little brushless. This one's a 3-inch FPV racer, even though they come with different prop sizes. It's a little brushless, super light thing that you can zip around. It's got some great prop guards on there, and trust me, you can bounce off anywhere with this thing. It is really, really robust, and it's got some amazing designs in here. I really, really like this thing. Now, if we quickly rattle off some of the components, because what I want to do, I want to get through this, and then I want to show you how much fun this thing is to fly. So very quickly, you can see it has 3-inch props. It's got some great prop protectors on there, very strong, very robust, and it's not really too heavy either. So usually, some of these strong prop protectors can really weigh the quad down, but if we stick it on the scales, it's coming in at 95 grams. So that is really, really light for a 3-inch racer, especially when it goes as fast as it does. This thing, trust me, is an absolute weapon. Now, you get some spare props. It comes in like a sort of lunchbox looking container, all that sort of stuff. That part's a little bit boring, but one of the cool parts, you do get, I don't know how to say this brand, J.O. Nang or something like that. You do get one of these batteries. This is only a 2S battery, and that's the part that I was blown away by, because this thing performs so well. I would have expected it to be on a 3S. That's how well it went, but it's really only a 2S, and you get some great flight times. And I really like this little warning sticker. It pretty much says, do not use a 3S battery. The kV of the motor is far too high. So it's spinning some 3-inch little tri-blade props right there. Speaking of those motors, if we zoom in a little bit, I'll flash a picture on the screen. They're 1104, 7,500 kV. And when you're zipping around with this thing, it absolutely rips. And probably my favorite part, and you guys are going to see this when we fly it, is how stable this thing is. It is rock solid in the air, absolutely zero oscillations, and I can't wait to show that to you. Now, it is a super clean build. What we're going to do, we're going to take off the top so you guys can have a look at some of the internals. Now look, this is the one that I'm giving away, so this is the one I've been flying around and crashing a fair bit. You can see it's got this canopy on the top, protects it really, really well. Very difficult to break the props as well because of the prop protector. So let's unscrew it and have a quick squeeze at some of the internal components. Alrighty, so there's just 3 little screws holding it on, and then check this out. If we can sort of wiggle this apart, excuse me. This is what I really, really like, is how clean this build is. Check this out. The first thing I want to mention is the little camera that's in here, which performs fantastic. You can simply disconnect it with this little plug here, and then that's it. You can simply take the top off. So all you have to do is slide your little dipole antenna through, but that's it. I'm a big fan of how easy it is to actually work on this drone, and you can see, look how clean this build is. Like, if I zoom in here, you're going to be really, really impressed. Alright, so I've taken the top off, I've zoomed in, and this is where I think one of the things I really love about this. Oh, by the way, it's got a full carbon unibody on the base plate. I don't think you're going to be breaking it because it's so light, but the internals right here, look how neat this is. Like, there's no wires going everywhere. The solder joints look really, really nice, and overall, I was sort of blown away when I first took the canopy off. It looks so simple, and that's why I think it works so well. Now what we have on the bottom, we've got our 4-in-1 ESC. It's a 10 amp ESC, BOLES, all that sort of jazz. And on the top, we've got a great little Pico BLX flight controller, Rock and Beta Flight, all that sort of stuff. And then even better, the version that I have, and I'll link all the different versions down below as well. The version that I've got, it just binds straight up to your Tyrannus radio, so you've got a little XM FR Sky receiver in there. So I'm a big fan of overall all of that. Now you're probably thinking, Stuart, well, where's the VTX? And what we need to do, if we flip that over underneath, you can see I've got my VTX here. It can be in different power levels, so whether 25 or jumping all the way up to 100, you simply press the button right there. So you've got some great access to your VTX channels. And I really like this sort of battery strap, because for this battery, when you slide it in, it does hold it really, really snug, really perfect. I'm a big fan of that. Everything in this drone, I think, is really well thought out. Now, another thing I want to mention, while we're looking at the internals, the nitty gritty, you get, and I'm not even joking, you get an absolutely fantastic, I'm not going to flash all the pictures on the screen, but you guys can see, you get a really detailed manual on how to bind it, how the VTX works, all that sort of stuff, everything in here. You get one of the best manuals I've seen for a long time. Now look, one thing I want to show people, that's why I've zoomed out as well, is I found it a little bit difficult with this canopy on. If you're going to be plugging into Betaflight, it's a little bit annoying, I guess, to hook this up to your computer. I would like it if there was some more cutouts in the top canopy, so you could simply plug it in a bit easier, because at the moment it's a little bit frustrating. And then the only other thing that I really don't like about this drone is it doesn't have an OSD. So when you're flying around, there's no way to check your voltage or anything like that. Now look, that could easily be rectified by putting in a different camera, something like a Runcam Swift Micro 2 or something like that, but I do wish it came out of the box with that. But for the price, you can't really complain too much. And the most important thing that I want to stress is when we go and check out the flight footage, this thing is so stable, and you guys are going to absolutely love it. Now, as far as the design of the thing, I'm a big fan. I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10, and I very rarely say that, and the reason is because I've flown it and it just flies so well, and this is designed to be like an explorer. You can bounce this thing off trees, off the ground, it's going to keep going, you get some great flight times. Yes, it doesn't have insane flight speeds or anything like that. It's only rocking a 2S, but for what it does it really well. And the way that this shell pops on the top and pops off like that, I'm a big fan. It keeps it super light, and it's going to protect your components very nicely. Now, the quality of the thing, again, I'm a massive fan. Everything in here is neat. It's well soldered. It's got good components. It's got official receivers, all that sort of stuff. I'm a big fan of the quality as well. Now, the pros and cons, the only two cons that I don't like the USB connector. I find it a little bit annoying when the top's on. That part's annoying if you've got to plug it in all the time, but thankfully we only have to do that once, and some people say, oh, that's not really a big deal, and yeah, you might be right. And then the other one, no OSD. So overall, look, I'm a big fan, and because I know it flies so well, I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with this. And you know, I was seeing Trevors fly around, and he was doing so well with that, the old man, that I thought, I got to get in, I want to fly one of these things as well. So that's exactly what we should do now. Let's jump over, fly this thing around in Trev's basement, and you'll see we do find out that it's too powerful. We'll show you the smaller version, show you some of the DVR as that as well, and then we'll take it out and rip this thing around, and you guys, you're just going to be amazed at how well it flies. Anyway, let's cut over to Trev's basement in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the pit, about to rip it around in Trevor's underground basement track. I'm pretty excited because we've got some new stuff in there to show you. I think you guys are going to love it, and we get to check out some DVR. I'm pretty hyped. What we'll do, we'll fly it around, and then I want to hand it over to Grumpy Trev, and I think you guys are going to like it because he is a massive fan of this. This is one of his favorite indoor flyers, this is like its little brother, the ET100, so it's going to be very interesting to see what he thinks about the bigger brother right here. Anyway, what we should do, let's jump to it and show you guys some DVR. Okie dokie, here we go. And one thing I want to mention, a testament to this camera. In here, you're going to see how pitch black it is when Trevor has a crash in a moment. And we thought, gee, this camera's pretty dark when we're trying to fly it around. And we didn't think it was as good as his other normal little ET100. And that was because Trevor's battery that powers all this was totally flat, totally dead. So the LEDs were just barely on. So I thought that part was a little bit interesting. And the camera actually does perform really well, especially considering how dark it actually was when we went inside. Now you can see here, I'm bouncing all over the place. And one good thing about the prop guards, you can bounce around, get up and get going again, but it just had way too much power. So the ET125, you know, for a really tight, small technical track like this, it was just far too powerful. Even though it's only on a 2S and it has crazy flight times, for me, I found it had far too much power when you're trying to hit these tiny little gaps. And we're going to jump over and check out its smaller brother in a minute for the pit track, and that's where it is much more suited. So I would say I wouldn't be getting one of these if you have a really, really small place, but if you've got a bit of a bigger house, like you could easily fly it around different rooms and through the kitchen and all that sort of stuff. It was more just this really tight technical track that it was a little bit difficult. Anyway, what we should do, let's hand it over to Grumpy Trevor and see what he thinks about the 125. Rightio, Trev, we're just going to get your impressions of the ET. So you absolutely love this one. You've actually reviewed this too. Oh my gosh, battery's going off everywhere. I'll leave a little link somewhere up here to Trevor's review. 5 minute, was it the 5 minute buy it or bin it? Yep, so you can go watch that. But what's your general, I guess, thoughts on these crafts?
Well, this thing around the pit is a little gem. It's fast. It's actually all right outside too, amazingly.
Yep. And so what are you thinking from this one?
Well, this looks like it might be a bit big for the pit, I think. It's pretty big, going by the grunt this thing's got. This is probably going to go a bit harder, so motors look a bit bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks alright. It's Big Brother, or might be Big Daddy.
Alright, let's do it. Let's see how we go. Alright, Trevor, I'm just going to film you as you take off, mate. What's going on, Trevor? You're into the ceiling, mate. What are you doing?
Alright, it's a new quad. Coming back. Ooh, hitting every thing. That camera's too dark.
Alright, I'm going to go get it. Put the buzzer on, mate. Oh, I see it.
You can't see anything when you get down to the bottom. Oh, fuck. It's fast. Yeah, we're going to need a bit of expo. We could fly it in here, but we're going to need a bit of expo.
Yep, so what are you thinking? What's going on, Trevor? Why are you stopping?
It's probably got way too much power for this, but I reckon we give it probably a good, say, 30-40% expo on the throttle. We'd probably be all right.
Drop it down by a lot?
Coming back so fast, it's too hard to throttle back. So when you did throttle anymore, you hit the roof, and or the floor, which is actually the roof. So it's yeah, we need a bit of expo on there. With a bit of expo on it, we better fly inside. This thing would go like bloody cut cat outside. Oh. Look, I think it might be just a little bit big for the pit, but the 100 is probably ideal.
So that's this little one you've got right there.
Yeah, well, that goes like a gem in there, and flies outside okay too. So this would be good for someone that's learning outside, and if you want to do a bit of exploring through trees and stuff, they bounce off the trees. It'd be pretty cool.
It does bounce around a lot. All right, maybe we'll have to take it out and fly it around outside then.
I think we'll have to do that
to finish, just sort of get some full.
We might do that tomorrow. What do you reckon?
All right, sounds good. All right, nice. Thanks, Trev. Right, a little bit of a bonus. Because the ET125 was too much, I do want to show you guys what the ET100 goes like, because this thing goes like a cut cat. This is Trevor's one, so shout out to Trev for letting me borrow it. So we're going to fly this thing around and show you why this one might be a little bit more suited to the track. And then we'll jump out and we'll finish the review of the bigger brother, because it does feel like it's much more suited to outdoors. So anyway, let's check out, I guess, some pit footage of the little brother. Okie dokie, so here we go, and straight off the bat, you can see how much easier this thing is to control. You know, it's still on a 2S battery, all that sort of jazz, but we're not bumping into the ceiling like Trevor was straight off the bat, because the other one had so much power. It was really, really difficult to fly. You had to be really careful on the throttle. This one, you can still push it really, really quick, and you'll see that in a minute. But if you've got a small technical space, something like this is going to be a lot easier to fly around. So we're going through some pretty small gaps and all those sorts of things. It's still really, really forgiving with the bumpers, all that sort of jazz. But overall, I would say if you're only going to be flying indoors, the ET100 is a much better choice. And if you're going to be going outdoors, or maybe a bit of a mix between outdoors and indoors, the 125, even though it's still really stable, it's much more suited maybe to some bigger rooms and some warehouses and that sort of stuff. And also, it's going to handle outdoors like an absolute champ. But overall, regardless of which one of these two you got, whether it be the 125 or the 100, or I think there's even a middle version as well, this thing flies like an absolute champ. And I can see why Trevor picks this as his main flyer when he's flying around the pit, because it really is a dream stable thing to fly. Sorry, Trev. Rightio, out here in the field, it is super windy, but we're going to see how this thing handles it, because look, it's pretty light. It was too powerful for indoors on the pit with the ET125. Thanks, Trevor. We'll fly it around, we'll rip it outside and see how it goes, just doing some little, I guess, proximity field exploring. All right, let's cut to some DVR and show you that. Okie dokie, so some pretty crazy winds, and I want you to remember, look, I normally wouldn't even fly my 5-inch around like that, because I find the wind can be really detrimental to a flight experience. You can see I did a little flip there, so you can definitely do some acro, all that sort of stuff. But this thing, it handled it like a boss, and I know I keep saying it, but I can't believe
just how well this thing flies and bounces things off it too. If you're going to be crashing into trees, this thing just keeps going and going and going. But yeah, overall for a 2S, I'm totally blown away. I know I keep raving about it. What I really want to get across is it's not every day that you get a quad you can take out of the box, and it flies so well, super stable. And this really reminds me, and I know Trevor mentions it later too, about the Owl, which was from Flex RC, and that was the first real one where it had prop guards. You could really go exploring through the trees, and this does this even better. So if you've got a yard or some trees or a park where you might not be into track flying, you might not be into like full-on freestyle, you just want to float through the trees and have a good time and go do a bit of exploring, something like this is going to, well, actually this is the best quad I've seen for that sort of exploring type of flying. And one of the best things too, you're going to have to check it out at the end. We have the full flight. You're not going to believe the flight times. You know, put those in the comments below. How long do you think you can fly around like this for? Because it's absolutely ridiculous just how long that it can go. Now, look, I'm not going to go through the whole flight here because it goes for quite a long, and I don't want to bore people. You've got plenty of punch, all that sort of stuff. But overall, to sum it up, beautiful flight experience, flies for days, really, really forgiving. And I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time with this. This is going to be one when I just want to go somewhere new, have some fun that's not too stressful or intense like track flying, just flying around and having a good time. And I know Trevor's a big fan of this one as well. Anyway, what we should do, let's cut over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks when he's flying the bigger brother outdoors this time, so he's not going to be bumping into the ceiling, and I will get his reactions as well.
Alrighty, Trevor, old man, we're ready to rock and roll. It's not the best environment for the ET125, but it was too powerful for your track, where the normal ET100 was perfect. But let's rip this thing around on a 2S. It's super windy, and see how we go. What's the bet you get this stuck in a tree?
This is, I like this. Jeez, it's got plenty of go in it.
Well, it's for a 2S, it's pretty crazy.
I can't believe how long the battery lasted for you. I like it. Whoa, there's a tree there. Who put all these trees here, Stu? It's pretty quick, isn't it? For a 2S. I really like this baby brother, the ET100.
Oh, he's into the trees. Will he get out?
Ah, man, look at that. That's what these are good for. You've got to go exploring.
And look at the wind, guys, too. It is like, it is ridiculous.
Like, it's pretty hard.
How's this thing handling the wind, I guess, for a 2S?
It's getting blown around a little bit, but I'm surprised how well it is getting around. It's smooth as. It is.
Oscillations or anything like that?
No, there's no oscillations at all. This is bloody good camera. It's really good for that. Look, I'm flying into the sun as well. There's not even a black spot or nothing.
Yep.
Oh, this is great. You could have a lot of fun with one of these. The same with these. I would have thought with the bigger one, maybe they would have put an OSD in it, but they haven't. Yep. Still. Why, King Kong? Why haven't you got an OSD yet? It's getting windier now, isn't it? I'm sure it's getting windier.
It is ridiculously windy.
It's nice. When we get down lower, it's all right. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with these, but look, if you want to fly it inside, this is not the one to get. But,
yeah,
but outside,
agree. The ET100 is much better for indoors around the track.
But if you want to go outside and explore trees and this is really good. Highly recommend these. It's very stable.
It is super stable.
And it's like it's so f***ing windy here. It's this is, I can't believe it's still flying. And
upside down. Gee, you were doing well then too, Trev.
Yeah, well,
flip it up the right way.
Yeah, you can do that.
Also, too, you guys always think I'm flying around a cemetery, but that's bot grinder style. What these are, they protect the plants from anything that comes to sort of kill them. So they're all different plants and trees growing. All right, Trev. Okay. You jokester.
You didn't have your
shield
Cal's
on.
riot shield.
Yeah. Who flies quads into people anyway?
Yeah, that's right. That's terrible. What I really like about this is I am bouncing off trees like you wouldn't believe here, hitting branches, and it's just coming back. Like, it's just so forgiving, like where you wouldn't normally get away with it.
Yep.
You are with this.
Those prop guards really do seem to work on this one. I can hear your battery now. It's actually beeping. So you've been flying for quite a while.
I'll bring it in. Yeah, the battery for 2S. This is crazy. See if you can catch it, Stu.
Well, I got one hand. All right, you got to disarm though. Ready? Yep. Oh, bloody hell! Oh!
You got it. Oh, no, you didn't.
Almost. You punched it up into the sky, mate.
That's what you did to me.
Here, right, you can unplug that.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I might just have to get me one of these things too, because...
All right, yeah. So I'm going to take this radio.
I used to like going exploring with the old Owls, and this is a lot of fun on 2S. That was good.
And the batteries would be pretty cheap there. All right, so I guess, what do you give that for performance out of 10?
Oh, look, this is up there. This is probably a 9, I reckon. I really do like that.
Yep, let's quantify that. So what makes you say that specifically?
Well, look, out of the box, this thing is smooth. It's flying in the wind. It's very, very stable in the wind. And look, when we did have it yesterday in the pit, it was stable, but it was a little bit too fast. But I just like the way it's built and everything. It is stable. It's good. Out of the box, anyone can fly this.
Okay, so that's why it gets an eye like its performance. It's
That's
a stable,
correct.
smooth flyer.
Yeah.
What about like flat out insanity speeds? Did you feel that? Were there anything like that? Or
Well,
it was
yeah.
more the stability that made you give that
No,
9?
look, flat out too. It's stable in all forms. It was fast as well. For 2S, I just can't believe how well it went. So if you put a 3S on this thing, this would fang.
It says do not put a 3S on there. Comes with a big warning.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, don't put a 3S on there, guys.
All right, and what about, I guess, value for money out of 10?
Value for money, definitely a 10.
Okay, you're a big
no
fan.
ifs and buts, yeah, because
Really? Okay.
even the smaller one is good value for
There's
money.
no OSD or anything? You're still happy with that?
Yeah, look, it's still a 10. Even though it hasn't got an OSD, I'm still a big fan. I'd give it a 10 plus if it had an OSD because it is good. I said I really like the small one, and this one's it's Big
All right.
Daddy, I guess.
Who would you recommend this to?
Oh, anyone. You'd have a lot of fun with this. Even if you haven't flown, for your first quad even, it's a great little quad to start with.
Okay, and what about what environment is this suited for? Racetrack, indoors, what sort of flying should we expect? It is super windy here today. What sort of flying should we expect for the ET125?
Look, bit of everything, but not indoors, unless it's a really big indoor track.
Okay, like a warehouse or something?
Yeah, like a warehouse, it'd be okay.
Yep.
Ours is just too tight for that, so...
and you notice we didn't actually fly it around the track because I felt like the track was just too big. It wasn't fast enough flat out speeds for that sort of thing.
Oh, not the UAV test track, no, it just wouldn't be... It'd get round it, but it wouldn't be any fun.
Yep.
It would be too slow for that. If you want to explore, this thing is really good, but if you're going to go around trees, make sure you've got a big stick, because if it does get hung up, it's going to be hanging like that and it's going to be a pain in the ass. But
you did crash into quite a few trees.
yeah, I did,
and
but
so did
I wasn't real high because it is a bit windy here today, otherwise we would have gone up higher.
Yep.
But look, for an explorer, I don't reckon you can get any better. I haven't seen one as built as good as this yet.
All right.
In the small ones. So.
Nice. Well, you're going to give that back, Trev, or what? You're going to keep?
No,
it
I haven't got one of these. I've only got the small one, so
maybe we'll have to swap
yeah.
for a while. All right, nice. Thanks, Trev. Oh, where's Cal today? What's he doing?
He's sleeping, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You slacker, Cal. Where are you, mate?
Yeah, you old man. You call me old. He's probably snoozing.
Yeah.
Rightio, so there it is. There's my review of the ET125 and I guess, well, the ETs. The original, if you've just got somewhere small to fly around indoors, like a little pit track or something like that, the smaller version, I'll link them all down below. The normal ET100 is a much better choice because I thought this thing was going to rip, but it had, rip around that small space, but it had way too much power. So what I had to do was take it outside and it was absolutely stellar, especially I can't believe on a 2S just how smooth and stable, and it was just a really, really beautiful flight experience. Now, it doesn't have an OSD, and that is about the only thing that I would change. So what I really want to do is maybe put like a little run cam split or something, one of those minis in here or something like that. But overall, I'm a big fan. I think King Kong's done a fantastic job, and this series, the ET, no matter which size you get, it's going to suit a lot of beginner pilots out there. A lot of people who just want a beautiful quad they can take out of the box, fly, no dramas. Because that's what this is about. If you get it ready to fly or something like that, you want to take it out of the box and you want it to just work. So overall, I'm a massive fan of the ET series, and what I'm going to say too, go and check this flight footage. I'll put it at the end of this video, but this thing on a 2S battery, look how long the flight goes for. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's got crazy flight times for days. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Massive shout out to my Patreon supporters because look, I couldn't do what I do without your support, so I've got another one of these to give away to you guys, so thank you so much. For everybody else, subscribe for more FPV related content. Go and check out our Discord down below. There'll be a link, up here, or it's probably down in the comments somewhere like that, because I know Grumpy Trev's been getting on there and talking to people every single night. It's a great place for our FPV community. Heaps of fun. Really easy to sign up to, so go and check out that Discord, and as always, happy flying. And check out this flight time. Like, honestly, it is crazy for just a 2S battery.